Yo, what is crack-a-lackin', Ridge Runner Nation? Welcome to the inaugural VOSS Talks episode. I bet you can guess by now, but I am very excited that we finally brought this show to you guys, to the channel. We cannot wait to interact with Ridge Runner Nation in this way, and we cannot wait to hear your voices on a regular basis. Joining me on tonight's show are the two people who somehow agreed to be a part of this with me, Cam Wrench and Nick Voss. How's it going, guys?
Doing good.
Cam, what about you?
Happy to be here.
Yeah, can't complain. We're going to see how this all goes with everybody calling in, but the show's not named after me, so no real worries there.
Yeah, if the show was named after me, I'd be a little nervous, not going to lie, on the first episode. But, when Nick Voss came on Ridge Runners Live #1, he was somehow lucky enough to be on that episode as well. And I compared him to the Skip Bayless of ultra running. And I wanted to start off by saying I apologize for that, because that was just a rough take there, Nick.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. I mean, you can't give me something like Tim Kirkjian maybe, or something better like that.
Just something with more respect than Skip would have. Anything would have worked for that. But we want to start our Ridge Runner or our VOSS Talks. My goodness, it's going to take a second, guys, to get used to that. But with how we always start things off, what are we drinking, guys? Cam, what are you starting with?
All right. Well, I have a Bridge Brew Works Tumble Home Barley Wine from the New River Gorge in West Virginia. If y'all haven't heard the story about how I kind of got swindled into paying $36 for a 6-pack, go check that out on our episode with the Rim River 100 winners. I think that was number 37, 36, Wesley? 37. And what about you, Nick?
I'm doing the Stone Delicious IPA. Little heavier alcohol, 7.7 to calm the nerves here.
Love it. I love it. I've got a vodka Sprite actually as well. So I'm definitely doing the same calming the nerves thing tonight. So I'm super excited. First vodka Sprite on it's VOSS Talks. Things are a little different than Ridge Runners Live. We don't have to be as formal. We have guests coming on, and we're going to super excited to dive into our first callers here. But if there's ever a show just to crack open a Jack and Coke or rum or vodka Sprite, tequila sunrise. All the this is the show to do it, so it'll be super awesome. We do want to dive into our first caller. We do have someone waiting in the queue already, which is super awesome to see. If you do want to join the show, just text that number that you see on the screen, and then we'll send you instructions from there. You'll just dial in a number and you'll get added to the show. It's a voice only show for you guys, so it makes it super easy. You don't have to worry about getting your video set. It'll be super awesome. Before we do that, let's talk about Ohio's Backyard Ultra. They just started the entrance started today, December 1st. The race is already sold out, which is absolutely amazing. That a Backyard Ultra affiliate Backyard Ultra, it's going to be a golden ticket race in March, completely sold out as fast as it did. These two gentlemen to my left and right are actually in the race, which is going to be awesome to see. Why did you guys sign up, and what do you guys think about it selling out as quickly as it did?
Well, to start off, I signed up because while somehow only having 6 times less results than Nick, I have a 0.08% worse ultra sign-up rating, and I knew this would be a really good opportunity to remedy that.
Kick it off. First race of the year, huh?
So you think you actually boost your ultra sign-up score by going to Ohio's Backyard Ultra?
Oh, no, just a little bit better than Nick.
No, he's saying he's going to get better than me. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't ever plan to win a race, just mostly to beat like you or Alex Jackson or something.
And so since you haven't beat Alex tonight, you're devoting yourself now to Nick Voss, trying to beat him.
I need more manageable goals, I'm learning.
Wow, dude, I think the fire's already starting. I mean, Nick, what do you say about that?
Well, I mean, being a stat guy, I think I'm a little disadvantaged there, because I could finish, bottom line is if I beat Cam, I hold on to it, I think. But my multiple results there really have a lower impact on each race. So I'm going to be in trouble. I mean, he might get me this first race of the year. I might get him, but by the end of the year, my bet is Cam's going to have it.
Well, especially because it also grades your newer performances a lot heavier. I know, some of my older ones, I'm almost positive there's almost like a recency bias, which we're all about on this show. It's like, what have you done for me lately? Kind of mentality. So that's why we're not just talking about Ohio's Backyard Ultra.
Welcome to Sports Talk Media.
Welcome to VOSS Talks. No, but I think it's going to be kind of cool to kind of have that, and I do think that it does weigh most recent results more than say a result from 10 years ago. Maybe someone from Ultrasign can vet that, but and we'd love to hear from them. So hopefully they call us on the show here in a little bit. I thought it was super interesting to kind of see the massive names that popped up as well. I mean, Harvey Lewis, Gabe Rainwater, John Russo is back, and Andrew Waugh is back, and everyone else that was back. I mean, what do you guys think about the competition this year? I mean, has there ever been an affiliate back at Ultra that's as stacked as this one?
I mean, it's loaded. It's absolutely loaded. 7 of the final 10 from, just a couple weeks ago are already back. I think that's the right number, maybe even 8. And then, and it's only in 109 days from now. I mean, talk about total rematch for those that were in the final 10 there. So that's going to be great to see. And then, you can add 3 of those runners. Maybe you've heard of them, Harvey Lewis, Gabe Rainwater, Jacob Conrad, 3 individuals who have gone 200 miles or more. And it's just, they could go all week. They really could go all week. I booked my flight last night. I might need to change that flight to later in the week, maybe Wednesday or Thursday.
What did you put it at? Like Monday morning again, dude?
Yeah. Monday, like afternoon. Yeah.
I think there's some people, especially that are watching this, are just straight up disrespected by that. So you better change that right now, actually, on the show.
It's just all based on PTO. I haven't been in my role very long. I don't get a lot of vacation. So, who knows?
We'll have to talk to your employer to make sure you can get them out there. We'll put you on official Ridge Runners business. We'll give you a doctor's note or whatnot. So
if Earl the Pearl will buy my rebook like he promised me this year, then that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm sure good old ETP will come through. Cam, what do you think about the big names coming into Ohio's back at Ultra this year?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with Nick. It's really just like a matter of how long is it going to go? Because like, what kind of shape is everybody going to show up in? Because a lot of these guys, they have absolutely nothing to prove but getting another win, which it's not going to be any of the first time for them like winning a race, right? So I'm actually very interested to see how somebody like Tanner reacts to having all of those guys who have gone 200 miles and they've run at bigs. They've run with Courtney DeWalter. They've rubbed elbows with all these people that we see the documentaries about. How's he going to react to having those guys next to him when he's 150 miles in? And he's just got to keep going because they're going to keep going for the foreseeable future, no matter what he does.
I think Tanner's.
And to add to that too, there's a couple of people, that, or I guess more than a good amount of people who haven't run a backyard before this year when they showed up at OBU. So those folks that went 85 or 100 or, somewhere around there, like we could still see some big improvements coming from those people who just were figuring it out.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree completely. And I think Tanner's even just I can't wait to see him just look at Harvey Lewis in the eyes and just be like, I'm about to take you down. Cause I know that's just how it's going to work. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be so, like, imagine Tanner getting the starting line like he did this year, 2 minutes early. And Harvey Lewis just is like, looking at him like, this kid, man, it's going to be unbelievable to kind of see how it all plays out. Do you think there's ever a chance that like these satellite back at ultras, like, overtake bigs back at ultras? Like, I feel like we're almost at that point with OBU this year. Like, I mean, there could seriously be someone that puts up 300 miles at OBU. Like, would that just overtake bigs? What do you guys think?
I think it depends on what you mean by the word overtake, because in terms of like media exposure, the answer is just like absolutely not. And I hate to be that way, but I doubt Runner's World will be sending anybody to Reese's backyard. And the actual bigs just like gets so much coverage no matter what actually happens there. In terms of mileage, I'm not quite sure about that. I think that one's like actually possible, right? But just like the whole running world is gone absolutely crazy over everything Laz does except for like strolling Jim for some reason. And yeah, just like any satellite race is never going to get that kind of attention.
I mean, like if 300 miles happens though, like it has to get that attention, right? Like maybe Runner's World won't like be there to like have them in, but like they'll be there live, but they'll actually like cover it obviously. And I don't know. I feel like it's a potential for that to happen.
Yeah. And I think we're seeing a shift in Laz's race too. He really wants this thing to be international. So is he going to start really trimming down, and not to say that international runners can't run far, but that's got to take, there's a lot of American runners who are interested in this format too. So maybe that will start to spread out that talent level across some of these satellite races, and we might see a couple of the races float to the top there.
I mean, I would love to see it. I think that's something that could definitely happen. We've actually got our first caller on the line. This moment will be written down in the history books of the VOSS Talks forever. Who do we have on the line right now, and where are you from?
How's it going? It is Jeff Anzo here. We are from Athens, Ohio, currently a graduate student here at Ohio University.
Let's go, Jeff. Thanks for joining the show here. We're super excited to have you. What do you want to talk about tonight?
Well, first off, I just want to say Ohio's Backyard Ultra just this past couple weeks ago is absolutely a phenomenal event. Absolutely life-changing, wonderful experience, and just the people there and everybody that contributed to putting that event on. If you have never been to an ultra, if you never had an experience like me, like that was my first one, absolutely blew me away, and I'm straight up addicted. So I'm definitely excited. I got registered, so I'll be back coming this March. And I'm just really looking forward to running with some new people and just getting back in that community again.
What was the one thing that surprised you most about the Backyard Ultra? Obviously, like you kind of came into it first ultra, you had not having any expectations, but what was the one thing that just totally shattered your expectations?
That's a great question. So, well, for me, definitely like what I just didn't give as much consideration to was the night portion. When we went to that, when we went to the night portion, we went to the road. I just was so fixed on my training on the trail portion, honestly. And I just kind of undermined that, and nutrition got behind, clothing, something like just a lot of kind of new, like being new to ultra running, mistakes that kind of came up there. That was definitely kind of a really unexpected thing, I guess, that happened on a personal level, but for the event and ultra running itself, it was just seeing like how egoless of an environment that was put on, like created there with everybody. Everybody was just so genuine, and the environment and the way that everyone just wanted to see each other compete, but everybody wanted to win themselves and like kind of see how far they can go, but everybody was just teaching each other, educating each other. And that really blew me away. That really was something I'll never forget.
Jeff, how many miles did you make it in a couple weeks ago?
So 50 official miles, but it was like 53 when I pulled it.
Love it, man. Love it, man. Hell of an effort for a first ultra there. How far are you going to go in March? And I expect this number to be at least 300.
So I'm gonna hold true to something I said after this one. I'm not gonna say how far I'm gonna run until, like, I'm just only gonna probably tell one or two people when it comes down to it, like how far I want to go. But I'm just gonna kind of keep that one to myself. Just keep that one to myself, a little secret for now.
Okay, Jeff, you said you're only going to tell one or two people. I'll take the headphones off, and you can just tell Wesley and Nick now.
That could work. Regeneration is not listening. There's not other people obviously listening, and so we'll be good there. Jeff, do you have anything else you want to talk about tonight, man?
So I just kind of had one question, just for the being new to ultra running and really wanting to use this as an opportunity to travel and explore. If there was any other races just kind of like on the East Coast, really kind of willing to go anywhere with this, if there was any that you'd recommend that were just really stood out to you or were just a lot of fun to go to.
Oh man, Nick, I'm gonna let you start off with this one.
Ooh, man. I've just got to pick Promised Land 50K down near Lynchburg, Virginia. It's just it's that old school ultra. Dr. David Horton is the race director, previous AT record holder, two-time Hard Rock champion back in the day. The guy just lives and breathes ultra running, even though he can't quite run anymore. And you camp right by your car. He rides around his mountain bike and wakes everybody up in the morning. It's a great race. It's a tough course. It's runnable, but it's still 7K vert. Great race there in Virginia.
Cam, what about you?
I'm going with the Rim to River 100 in New River Gorge, West Virginia. They had an absolutely electric atmosphere for a first year 100 miler. It's only going to get better next year. I've already got the ultra sign up page bookmarked for myself come January 1st when the race sign up opens.
Yeah, and a little side note about that, our Rim to River film is still in the works, so we plan to release that at the start of the year, so stay tuned for that as well. I'm going to give you one race that I've done and one race that I want to do. So one race that I've done that I really like is the Mount Mitchell Challenge. I think it's just such a unique event, just running uphill for the first 18 miles and then turning right around at the top of Mount Mitchell, the highest point on the East Coast, and then running all the way right back down. I think it's a super awesome race. And one race I do want to do eventually is the Blood Rock 100 miler, which is set to take place this weekend. That race on the East Coast has 26,000 feet of climbing for 100 miles. Yeah, write that down.
Wow.
Yeah, talk about a hard one.
Thank you for sharing those.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Thanks so much for calling in, man, and being our inaugural caller. We really appreciate it, dude.
It was an honor. Thank you so much. Love what you're doing here.
Thanks so much, Chef. We'll talk to you next time.
Have a good one.
Yeah, that was good stuff. Caller number one, guys. We did it.
Yeah, Jeff brought up a great point. I mean, I was just thinking about, while he was talking about his Ohio Backyard Ultra experience. I mean, you guys have both, done several ultras at this point. Imagine if that was your first ultra experience. I mean, I can't even imagine it. It's just such a different format, different atmosphere to be a part of. I don't know that if that had been my first ultra, maybe the trajectory would have changed completely. I don't know.
Well, I also think because it also allows you to go so far. You're not limited. For me, I was okay, I got to do a marathon and then a 50K, a 50 miler, and then work my way up. But at a backyard ultra, you're not limited, and I think that's kind of a really unique aspect of it. Is you can go out and do 50 miles for your first ultra. You can go out and do 100 miles for your first ultra, or just any distance you want. I think that's a super unique aspect with a backyard ultra.
And impressive that he made it that far, with knowing, not really knowing what his limits were and making it 50 miles right off the bat. Pretty cool.
Kim, what did you have to say there?
I was going to say, yeah, totally. OBU, the first year they had it was my second ever ultra. And, it kind of did blow the doors off what I thought that I could do, especially with how good I felt afterwards. And it just really impressed upon me, the importance of run smart and run a race that you can handle, right? Versus doing what I did at my first ultra, which is be well, if I run 6 hours in this 50K, that means I'll be in the top 10. So I should go out with the leaders, right? That did not go well.
Yeah, Cam, I remember you were a couple spots in front of me for maybe the first 7 or so miles. And I was I'd met you the night before at camp or something. And I was wow, kids got some guts.
And little did we know.
I later lost them. But
learn the best lessons though.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. As always, if you're watching the YouTube chat and you want to be the next caller on the show, just text that number. We'll shoot you a set of instructions. It's super simple. It's 1, 2, 3, and we'll add you on the show as well. So if you want to be a part of the madness that we got going on right now, feel free to just text that number up there. We've actually got a second caller already ready to go. Let's do it. Second caller on the line. Who do we have right now and where you're from?
This is Michael Owen from Pomeroy, Ohio.
Unbelievable, man. How'd you find this number?
Big Mike.
Dude, this number was 25 digits long. It was really hard to get in here correctly. It took me about 10 tries to finally get it right.
I love it, man. What do you want to talk about?
So not to keep on going on with the Ohio's Backyard Ultra, but something, that I think is relevant in ultra running that could be discussed. I'd love to hear guys' thoughts on it. I won't stay on the line, but is the lack of female representation in Ohio's Backyard Ultra, and maybe just within the Backyard Ultra format in general. I don't know what to do about it. As a race director, I would love to see more women in the field because, as we all know, women can certainly win the race, as we've seen with bigs the past couple of years, and even in Ohio's Backyard Ultra with Jennifer Russo finishing with 154 miles for the assist. But generally at OBU, at least for the past 3 years, it's only been 15 to 20% women. And I'm going to log off here, but I'll let you guys talk about this. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I was race director for SCOTR, Michael Owen. He's the race director that puts on Ohio's Backyard Ultra. Do either of you guys have any glaring thoughts you want to start off with this one with?
Well, I mean, this is currently an all-male show with 2 male callers, and I think not to put on my like male feminist hat too much here, right? But like, there's definitely just sort of like a general problem of like the structures of like Western American society, right? And I don't fully understand how to like change that in order to like get more people at OBU other than like me personally annoying all of my friends to do it. Because it's really cool and I'd like to see them there too.
Nick,
Yeah, and I agree with you, Cam. I think there's certainly a a cultural issue that we're kind of dealing with, and not obviously not just in ultra running. It's sports across the board, really, with not just representation, but equal pay, equal exposure, equal coverage, all of those things that need to change. And I think there are people within the media that are really trying to work hard at that. So that's one step. Another thing, I think a lot of people have suggested things like this, and I've seen it from races, is they will hold out a certain amount of spots for women. Obviously, that's a concern for race directors who do it to support their families and want to still be able to fill their race. But that's where outreach can be important. And really, it's just, I don't think it's going to change until other women, young women, see the representation. Representation is empowerment, and once they see that that's possible, that's when we can start seeing the numbers go up.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with a lot of that sentiment there, and especially like I did some deep dive research on this recently because I was just curious, and I actually have some notes that I wrote down because I was just not uninformed, but I just wanted to be like, okay, how can I do better on my day-to-day basis with this topic? And for those who don't know, I'm currently doing some work with a women's soccer team at the professional level, and that's been a really awesome experience right now. And so it's kind of cool to kind of hear these stories and just be like, to share these stories, because there's a lot of times where maybe Nick talked about equal access and equal pay, but I mean just the access alone to kind of share the stories and get the stories out there, I think is super important for everyone. One thing I wrote down, there's an article, I forget where it went, it might have been Outrun magazine, but it was like, do people associate the outdoors with women? That was like one quote from the whole article that really stuck out to me, and I think that was something that I think needs to change, and I hope that we can kind of be a part of that change. Yeah, I even did. I mean, it's kind of rambling on at this point, but I kind of did a deep dive on my Strava because I was curious. I've got 341 Strava followers, and I've got 57 of those are women. That comes out to, or 57 of them are, basically women. Women. So that's 16%. So that's not a great representation, I think, of what the sport can be, and I think it has a lot of room to grow. So.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, that's I think a really good step that all of us can take, and just as easy as looking at those people you follow on Strava. Look at yourself, look at what you're doing yourself, and I think if everybody does that, it's going to be better. I know I've seen specifically in running media in terms of photographers that show up to races. There's been a little bit of back and forth about that, and it's really all just about proportionality, right? Like there are just as many women at all these track meets, all these running events as men. And it really, I don't understand why there's a difference other than some of the things that Cam was talking about with just a patriarchal, background.
Yeah, and another quick comment on that is, I mean, we saw this most recently at the JFK 50 milers, where like there was a couple people out there just like vlogging the race and kind of doing like I run far type updates, but they're only doing the men. You know what I mean? There wasn't like an easy way to top the top 5 women in the race. And I mean, the men were update every minute on whether they crossed like an aid station, but the women just weren't represented that way. And I think that just needs to change across the sport.
And no disrespect to that guy, right? Like he's only one person. He can only, if he stops following the men, then you're only going to catch the women. There needs to be a big drive to cover it equally. And I Run Far is a great company that's doing that right now. Trying to keep that equal, put the women's results first. All those things, they're little, and a lot of people might think, oh, does that really matter? It does. It just does.
Definitely. And kind of keeping on the same topic, we do have a third caller that's officially on the line with us right now. Who do we have on the line right now, and where you're from?
Hey guys, it's Jessica Koppelwitz, and I am from Athens, Ohio. Well, not originally, but that's where I live now.
Awesome, Jessica. This is a perfect topic I feel like you're a good point person to kind of just talk to you about this. How do you think that we can help bring more women to ultra running?
Well, I think one of the first things that you guys are doing right now is inviting us to the conversation, which I think is awesome. And you guys have been so supportive in my journey, and just highlighting some of the other organizations out there that encourage women to be part of the sport. So thank you for that. Really appreciate it.
Definitely.
But honestly, I think it's like one thing that I have to say, and by the way, it was so much fun running with you, Wesley, at OBU, even though I didn't see you until, like mile 50 something. Yep. Maybe I heard your voice, and like everyone was like, Wesley. It was just kind of a funny kind of one of my last loops, I think, but it was a lot of fun. But I know when I got to the race, it was just kind of like there was just dudes everywhere, which is understandable, right? I mean, so it can be kind of intimidating for people, especially for women, to kind of show up and be like, okay, well, there's two of me and, a lot of other guys running. So I think that can be pretty intimidating. So until we see, more people just trying it and seeing other people, who look like them doing it, then, we're never really going to get to the point where there's a lot of women runners out there. But you guys are doing a good job. One of the organizations, showing the winners of races, highlighting women out there running and doing similar things and killing races. And it's just like, it's really great to see.
We really appreciate that, Jessica. You were on Ridge Runners Live number 4. It's crazy to think that was all that time ago, almost a year now. What has Trail Sisters been? I know that you're like the key influence down there in Athens, Ohio, but kind of talk about that group and kind of like what that influence and kind of how that impacts bringing women to ultra running.
So I first heard about the group, I think back in December of 2019. Gina Lucrezi started it, and it's now a national organization. There's groups all over the country, and in fact, I think there's just 3 or 4 in Ohio now. But one of our first runs was February 1st. So did our first group run on February 1st, 2020, kind of before everything kind of broke loose. And there were so many people who showed up. I think there was like almost 20 of us who showed up to run. And it was about, I just don't feel comfortable, number one, maybe being out in the trails by myself, or just not knowing anyone else who's doing it. And then all of a sudden, 20 of us show up, realizing that we're all there. It's just kind of finding each other. So it's just a way to bring people together to get out on the trails and to feel like they're a part of something, and to feel like no matter how fast or slow they are, they're no drop runs, that they're a part of that. And I think that's really important. I think that's another important thing that we tried to focus on, was that like, you don't have to be experienced. You just have to have a love of the outdoors and wanting to be with other people kind of along that journey. So that's kind of where that started. And so we did about 4 or 5 group runs before COVID kind of, kept us from all running together, but we try to share all of our journeys and things that we're doing. And there's a lot of people who kind of, spend a lot of time together. So there's some offshoots of that. So that's been a great journey. And then we ended up bringing Birth Barf, which you guys know, Annie Lang and Lauren Kraft. They've been really, huge role models, speaking out for just inclusivity and pretty much for everybody. And just like, hey, we're out doing this. Doesn't matter how much experience you have, just try it. And they came down to speak in Athens, and we had a huge turnout with those ladies. So yeah, it's been a fun journey. So not really much going on right now. I'm just trying to encourage other women to sign up for races. And I think think I may have recruited a couple for OBU, which I'm so excited for Michael Owen and for Southeast Ohio Trail Events that it sold out that quickly, which is crazy. It's nuts.
It is nuts. I mean, the first year it sold out in 7 days, second year 6 days, and now it's 14 hours. I mean, soon enough it's going to be like a couple minutes and that race will sell out. So kind of insane to see there. Jessica, thank you so much for calling us tonight. Do you have any final thoughts you want to leave us with?
Just thanks to you guys again, and I look forward to running with you. So nice to meet you, Nick. Good to meet you, Cam, and talk soon.
Definitely. Thanks so much, Jessica.
Bye, guys.
Yep. See ya.
Yeah, Jessica, like she was like, Nick, I mean, you were kind of with us at this point too, and she was just so far ahead of us at OBU for most of the early part of the day that like I just didn't want to get up there because I couldn't run that fast. You know, I wasn't feel like going that quick early on. And one of my last road loops, I caught up to them and I got to share some time with them, and I was super excited to do that. What do you guys have initial thoughts on Jessica's comments or anything you want to kind of add there?
I think what she's doing is great with Trail Sisters. It's a great organization nationwide. So wherever you are in the country, look up a local chapter, and don't let what Jess is doing be the only solution. You know, like her boots are on the ground. She's doing the work, but it's all of us. We all really need to do as much as we can and put as much effort into making women feel welcome in our community.
Cam, do you have anything?
Yeah, I mean, not much other than to reiterate what Nick just said, right? You know, just kind of hit on this, right? When she was speaking, but you know, for me as a man, when I started running trail and ultra races, I was already outdoorsy. I was already always out in the woods, right? You know, and often alone. And there was never a question about whether or not I should be out in the woods alone, you know? And for women, at least like the women who are my friends that I speak to about this, they're doing anything alone. They're being questioned about it. And right, like safety is always going to be a concern, but the safety concerns for me are whether or not I would break a leg or something, you know, not whether someone else would harm me. Right. And so kind of like what Nick said, like we need to make sure that we are also doing the work when we're out there and we're at races to make sure that women feel welcomed as a part of this community.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And I've had the opportunity to meet a couple of different Trail Sisters chapters now, and they've all been absolutely incredible. And like Nick said, they're all over. Like Cam and I met the Morganton group in West Virginia at the Rim River 100, and they were unbelievable. One of the best aid stations, I would say, on that course out there. So just absolutely incredible there. We actually have another caller ready to go in the queue right now. Who's joining us on the line right now, and where you're from?
Hey, how's it going? It's Rob Staker. Training for Ultra from Denver, Colorado. How you guys doing?
Oh man, Rob, how's it going, man?
So, also from Denver, right here.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
From Ohio originally, but living in Denver now.
I made that same move. That's not a fun one, but I love the new idea that you guys came up with here, calling in, chatting, running. I'm all about it, so I had to support it.
Dude, Rob, I mean, your support means so much. Obviously, you are one of the people that have transformed ultra running. If you don't know Training for Ultra, you've never been on YouTube or on a podcast at all in general, go check out his stuff. Just absolutely incredible. This is a Bobcat reunion, by the way. Nick Voss, Ohio Bobcat, Rob, Ohio Bobcat, myself, Ohio Bobcat, Cam.
Not an Ohio Bobcat. I'm feeling kind of left out. Any of you Chicago Maroons in the chat, please let me know.
I mean, ridge runners, do people know what the ridges are really? Like, I feel like you have to have kind of been there to know exactly what that entails. It's also kind of spooky in October to probably run in that area. I never was a runner, you know, when I went to school at Ohio University, but I mean, I want to open it up and hear more about like some of the experiences running in Athens, Ohio, because I only got to do one marathon there and that was it. And I'm kind of jealous of you guys, you know, having that opportunity.
Yeah, that was my running in Athens was my first foray into running, actually. Did a little bit of trail running, mostly just short out and backs on the Finger Rock Trail. and then decided to do a half marathon my senior year of college, and which was the Athens Marathon and half marathon there. And I remember I did the half marathon, opened up some blisters on my feet, got passed by a 13-year-old girl around the track, and she crushed me, and it was awesome. And called my roommate to come pick me up because I lived up on top of the hill, and I knew I couldn't make it up there myself.
What a story. What a story. Rob, I've got a quick question for you before you go here. You've done some of the craziest races all across the country now. What was the Thunder Bunny 50K like for you? I mean, obviously you talk about it in your book, but kind of what was that experience like running the race and then coming back to Athens all those years later?
And I was going to say that, yeah, I ran the Athens Marathon and then Thunder Bunny 50K, I think the next month or whatever it was. And I was scared out of my mind. I remember we took the whole family. We went down to Athens. We got a hotel room. I was like in bed for 8 p.m., like early lights out. Like I took this so serious. And I was lucky that I did because it was my first ultra. It was dumping rain. Pouring rain. I think this was 17, but it was hard. I mean, when you look at the course profile, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it took a lot out of me. And I still consider Michael Owen one of the best RDs in the business. He's just a super nice guy, but the way he set that race up, I mean, anytime come May, if I'm in the Ohio area, I'm going back to that race. I mean, that and Mohican, Burning River, all those races I have a true love for. And anytime I'm in those areas, I want to hit those trails. So hard to compare it. Maybe I would say sections of Bigfoot 200 during the Triple Crown last year approached kind of like, some muddy kind of wet stuff in the, I don't know, I think it was raining and almost like foggy and a religious experience there at Thunder Bunny. And I had that same kind of rainy, foggy experience at Bigfoot 200. But I love what you guys are doing. Keep it up. Like this dial-in live show is such a cool concept. So big hats off to you guys.
Hey, we appreciate it, especially coming from you, man. Where can people find you?
Just training for ultra pretty much everywhere. Amazon, Instagram, you name it. It's it's my moment of creativity coming up with that name, and I haven't tapped into that creativity since. So, but thanks for having me on.
Dude, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Take care.
Training.
Check out that guy's book. Check out that guy's book. It's the holidays. Great gift for all your ultra runners, family and friends out there.
Yeah, I mean, just absolutely crazy. Flowing right now that Rob called in. That's awesome. And for everyone else, socials or whatnot that we haven't plugged yet, Michael at SEOTR events and _ Michael Owen, genuine _ Jeff called, and then Jessica Koppelwitz at Fluff Bakery on Instagram, I believe, is their stuff. So you can kind of plug everyone right now as well. Just a quick reminder that John JD3 is with us, and he did also go to Ohio University. So thank you, John. He's talking to me right now, but you guys actually can't hear him. It's crazy. The technology that he's got working behind the scenes right now to kind of make this all happen. He's pushing all the buttons, and it's just absolutely crazy. So big kudos to JD3 for producing the show.
Cheers, John.
He said cheers back, but you guys can't.
No, yeah.
This is awesome, man. We've really enjoyed this one so far. This past weekend was Thanksgiving, and a ton of turkey trots happen on Thanksgiving. Obviously, it's just the only day that they can honestly happen, I think. I have a lot of takes on turkey trots. I think, and good takes. I'm not saying they're hot takes, but they might be hot takes in some people. I don't know. I'm just going to start to dive into my take, and I'm going to let you guys react. So I think turkey trots are some of the best race that can kind of take place throughout the year. And what I mean by this is there's not that many days of the year that everyone runs. It's Thanksgiving, January 1st, and Global Running Day. Can you name another day that like everyone is out there running? Go on Strava on Thanksgiving and it was just like swiping through everyone, whether it's a race or just like just an activity that they did by themselves. It's just so cool to kind of see everyone getting out there on Thanksgiving. What are you guys' thoughts on turkey trots and just like days like that? And how can you get more days like that in ultra running? I'll let whoever start.
I mean, I think the first thing is it's a little harder to get more days like that in ultra running because some ultra races do take multiple days. So it's asking a lot, whereas like a 5K, most people can kind of power walk that, even if they aren't a runner. You know, I will say turkey trots have like a truly electric atmosphere because nothing gets under my skin like seeing live turkeys in a pen at a race start line, like I did last year at my one and only turkey trot, and then getting thoroughly smoked by like some 16-year-old JV cross country kids. That was quite the learning experience.
They just like the Thunder Buddy 12K for you, right, Bob?
I would not say that Ellen Isaac is a JV cross country kid, but she did thoroughly smoke me. So yes.
Very fair. Nick, what about you?
Yeah, I love the idea of just getting together with friends and family, whatever, burning some kcals, to work up the appetite for Turkey Day. I think we found out this year that we don't really need those organized events to do so. So I think it's great to just get out there, push yourselves, do something challenging. Me personally, I actually didn't. Oh, I did run on Thanksgiving, but the thing that stuck out is I got on some skis for the first time. So just getting out there and having some fun with your friends or family, whoever it is, that's really the key. I will say I did used to partake in the Columbus. I don't even know what it was called now at this point. Columbus Turkey Trot, I guess, which was cool because it was a 5 miler. It was a little bit extra. And then anytime you get to go home with a pie or a bottle of wine, that's always a plus, right?
I'm the big fan of the 5-mile turkey trots versus the 5Ks. Listen, I don't have the speed I had when I was 17. I barely had speed then, but like 5 miles, I can still hang on just a little longer than you can in a 5K. So you don't really go as fast, obviously. So I'm all about the turkey trots races or whatever that are 5 miles long. Guys, another caller. We've got one right now on the line in the queue, joining us on the show right now. Who's joining us and where are you from?
Hey, what's up, Bridge Runner Nation? This is Samuel Hartman, and I'm from Columbus, Ohio.
Samuel, man, how's it going?
Hey, it's going great. Enjoying the show tonight. Some really wonderful topics covered. Awesome you guys are doing this. Not a first-time listener, but first-time caller.
Hey, we appreciate that. We appreciate you calling in. You don't have to fluff us up like we're some big time people that are not, but we do appreciate it. We do appreciate when you do that. What do you want to talk about today, Samuel?
Man, well, you guys have covered a lot of good stuff. I mean, and I think women in ultra running is an extremely valuable topic. And of course, the backyard format is blowing up and that's incredible. I guess I'm curious, we have some people here who love running and, a big part of running is technique. So maybe this is a little too niche, but I think you guys might have some thoughts on it. I was curious to hear from Nick or from any of you guys about the role of breathing in running and particularly ultra running, long distance running, specifically nasal breathing versus mouth breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, posture related to breathing, and maybe how that plays out over, a 5K versus a 50K or 100 miler.
Cool. We'll keep you here on the line for real quick with us, Sam, and Nick, we'll let you start this one off.
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. And I don't have a ton of personal experience with it. It's one of those things I've just had on the back burner to focus on a little bit more as breath work. I have some friends who are really into it. A guy I went to middle school with who played professional baseball is really into it. He works with a company called the Mind Strong Project. They do a lot of breath work and a lot of cold therapy, things like that. I think it's really important from what I know, anecdotally at least, and that it can really help. One thing on that topic that I've recently kind of discovered myself, even having, I haven't been running for a long time, but 6-7 years now, is that I have the tendency to kind of hold my breath while running downhill, especially if it's technical, which is a really interesting thing because I kind of found out that can cause some side stitches or cramps. And there was an older guy actually that I was running with at Speedgoat 50K this year, and he told me, he was like, I told him that I was having a bad side stitch. He's like, well, make sure you're breathing on those downhills. And it was like a light bulb just went off, and I was like, you know what? I'm holding my breath. Damn it. So, just all those things. But certainly for me, running at altitude, I can feel when my diaphragm is feeling a little weak or feeling compressed. So I can see the benefit for sure. Great question.
Cool.
Cam, what about you?
Yeah. I mean, not to sort of like dismiss the point, Sam, but I think in many cases, focusing on something like that can be like a very marginal gain. And the majority of us, we still need to make those non-marginal gains on like general aerobic capacity, like lactate threshold, running economy, like all those things. And like for me, I haven't really put much thought into breathing technique other than the one time that Jamie Hanks like showed me how to do the Wim Hof thing. And he was like, oh, this helped me out a lot at Leadville. And I'm like, I'm never going to run Leadville anytime soon. And throwing on a Breathe Right strip just because it helps with like my allergies. But it's just like, I know I have so much more room to like grow, like generally as a runner on like all those basic things that I'm not sort of like thinking much about that. And, a point where I would get to that, right? Like I've been a runner for basically 3 years now, a point where I would get to that would be, 8, 9, 10 years down the line. Right. So if you're listening and you're considering running an ultra and you're going, I haven't thought about breathing once, don't overthink it. Like just keep running. Like you're going to figure these things out more as they come.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point, Cam.
Makes sense.
I know for me personally, like that's one thing I also don't really think about too often. I know like I tossed it to those guys on purpose because I was thinking I'd think of an answer myself. And really like when I breathe, I feel like I'm just like gasping for air, like a horse straight out like a steeplechase race or something like that. So I definitely don't have any tips or any advice to give on that. But I think a lot of it, like kind of what Cam said, is just do what comes natural. And then once you kind of figure out what's natural, then do kind of some research and, maybe try something new. If it works, it works. If not, it doesn't. So kind of just do your homework out there and try a couple things on a couple of runs. And if it works, hopefully it works out for you.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I do think there's merit to it. And I think it can go in a lot of directions, like Nick said, even just, noticing when you're holding your breath or gasping for air. But I also agree with Cam that there's a lot of gains to be had that just come from, doing something basic like one speed workout a week or something like that. So
have you
appreciate it, guys.
Yeah. Have you have any experiences in this topic or anything you're trying to like, have you tried already and maybe it's worked or hasn't worked for you already?
Yeah, I have been experimenting with my coach with some runs where I've just been doing nasal breathing. So I've like forced myself to just nasal breathe for 30 to 60 minutes while running. And it's really weird. It's a really odd sensation. At first I thought it was impossible. And then I just like forced myself to keep my mouth closed. And I was able to do it, really without too much of a loss of what my normal like tempo pace would be. And I've read, I think there is a benefit to it. I think you're forcing air to go in different places when it goes through the nose, but I'm still new to it. And so that's why I asked the question, because I want to learn more about this process. And I think that it is connected to the larger picture of running, how you breathe.
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely does play a part, and I think it is kind of important. So it's it's great to hear you kind of bring that to the forefront, and hopefully I'm going to start focusing on it a little more. I know this week's runs for sure. Well, thanks so much, Samuel, for joining the show, and we're super stoked that you joined us tonight.
Hey, thank you guys. Awesome, and looking forward to the next one. Thanks so much.
No doubt. Sam_medal, I believe, on Instagram. You can vet me on that. But yeah, Sam.
That's right.
There
Yeah.
we
Thanks,
go.
man. Thanks,
He's
thanks,
still
Wes.
here. Yep. There we go. Samuel Hartman, everyone, joining us. So that was awesome, kind of hearing from him and this whole topic here. Yeah, no, breathing. I mean, this is one thing kind of when you're going through the training process that you just kind of don't really think about on a day-to-day basis, but I think it's kind of definitely there in the background that should be brought up a little more.
And combining both of those breathing and speed work things, a little off topic and disclaimer, don't try this at home, folks. But I remember hearing about somewhere people who would run 400-meter sprints holding their breath. It is absolutely insane. I don't understand it, but it's just one of those things that will stick with me forever that just blew my mind.
Yeah, I'm totally good on that.
I was going to say,
trying
no desire to try that. Legitimate training advice. There's a couple books back here whose titles you can't read, but The Happy Runner by Dr. Megan Roach and David Roach.
Regeneration, those books are fake.
Training for the Uphill Athlete, Killian Jornet, Steve Johnson, or Steve House, Scott Johnson, I believe, Patagonia books. Like, there's a lot of actual training advice in that. Maybe don't hold your breath.
Yeah, no, Eric Anderson in the chat also dropped a great book there. So if you guys are in the chat seeing this, check out his comment there. He had a great book in the comments section as well. We actually have another caller in the queue ready to go right now, joining us on the line. Yeah, I know he's got people coming in like crazy. Actually, we take a quick second. It'll not be right now. We will get them on the line in a little bit, which is no worries. You know what happens when you're doing a live show? You have people calling in like crazy. You know, things happen.
Thank JD3
Sometimes
for that correction.
Yeah, JD3 is like, nah, dude, shut it down. He's
just like, stop. You already you're in too deep. You committed to something.
No, I appreciate the honesty from JD3. And I just tell me, hey, listen, not now. I really do. I appreciate that from John. Kind of some races to keep your eye out this weekend. Big race weekend. I didn't even realize this until I kind of did my homework. But the Blood Rock 100, which I mentioned earlier this week, early in the show, is this weekend in Alabama. 26,000 feet of vertical gain. Lee Connor is in the race from Ohio on the ladies' side. Would love to see her take home a win.
Big.
There. I think that could be a W there for her.
Overall, probably.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Good chance.
I haven't done a lot of research into the men's side of that race, but yeah, I mean, definitely is someone that could definitely take home the top overall spot in that race. Another one, the Daytona 100 in Florida, point-to-point 100-mile race. The course record for the men is 14:11. Lee Whitaker sent that. And then for the women, it's 14:55 with Mika Morgan. And then also the Pine Mountain 46-miler in Georgia is taking place. This race started in 1981. Nick, when were you born?
1981.
Let's go.
we're really going there, aren't we, Wesley?
No, 88 here.
Okay. I was gonna say, like, I know Cam and I are young, but like I didn't think Nick was that much older than us. But
81 scared me a little bit. I was like, this is a weird dynamic now.
Yeah, no, but what are you guys' thoughts on those races this weekend? Or like, I guess, what do you guys anticipate happening, or have any thoughts?
I think this is a question for you, Nick.
Well, I mean, the Daytona 100, way too flat. I don't have anything else on that, boys. Blood Rock sounds like a great race. Tons of vert. Have to admit, looking at that entrance list, I don't really recognize any of the names except for Lee. But good to see that there were I think 4 or 5 total people from Ohio down there. Pretty small field. I guess that's kind of expected with the current situation happening too in the world.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. These are actually 3 races that I would love to do someday. Like Blood Rock, I mentioned earlier, but like Daytona 100, first off, it's a Florida race. I've been wanting to do a Florida race for so long. Give me the heat, give me the hot. It's flat. I'll do a flat 100. Maybe that's the only flat 100 I do in my entire life going forward. That could be the one. And then Pine Mountain 46-miler. I mean, this race has so much history that I didn't even know about until I looked into it. I was just super excited to kind of see that take place.
Yeah, I was a little bummed I didn't know about that one. Love seeing that multiple decades of results there, and it definitely seems like one that's right up my alley. I love those historical races.
Well, you're always one. What was the race the other day that you were texting me about? And you're like, dude, how do you not know about this race? And
way too cool 50K. I
Yeah,
mean,
okay.
it's just it's one of the
How do you
most
not know
popular
about that
50Ks
race?
in
Oh
the
my
country.
gosh.
Listen. East Coast podcast. I'm all in on the East Coast. Everything east of Mississippi.
Anti-California here.
Yes.
Yeah, no left coast for Wesley, except he has run an Oregon race at least.
Two
Oregon races.
2 Oregon races. Yeah. No. Yeah. I just definitely focused a lot of my time on spending east of the Mississippi, and I missed out on the way too cool 50K. But great race from what I've been told by a couple people. Maybe I'll have to get out there and try that one.
It's on a historical trail. You might have heard of it. It's called the Western States Trail.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is that the 100 mile that takes place out there too?
Yeah, well, I think it's a horse race. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, no, that race is pretty solid as well. Cam, let's talk about your goals for the Hard Rock 100.
Oh, man, you really brought that up, didn't you? Just after today, I struggled to like hold 11-minute pace at High Banks this morning. Yeah, I mean, I think that might have honestly shifted. I was just speaking to a coworker about like long-term goals the other day. Shout out to Alex York. I know he's not listening, but shout out to him anyways. And yeah, I mean, like I wrote down a couple years ago that like an eventual goal of mine is like to win the Hard Rock 100. It's a big thing, right? Wesley pointed out when we were in the New River Gorge and he saw my phone background, the Hard Rock Rock is my phone background. I think about that a lot. And it's just, I think having one of those like huge long-term goals has been really helpful for me to not get caught up in the day-to-day minutia of everything and to like be too focused on like, well, actually, right, like anti-sports media, what have I done lately? And think about, it's going to take a very long time to sort of like get to where my goals are. But the thing is that like I'm committed to like taking that time.
Dude, I'm pumped. And it's almost goal setting season. We definitely will have a goal setting VOSS Talks where we can kind of get people on and talk about what their goals are for 2021, kind of what Ridge Runners' goals are and what we want to accomplish in 2021 as well. But I think it's super unique to kind of just put yourself out there like that. That is just like the biggest goal, like right in ultra running. I mean, that Western States, like it's just such a unique experience. So proud of you for putting that one out there.
Yeah, that 6th place finish at the Tuscazor 25 miler is not feeling like such a great race result anymore, even though it's my best one ever. But yeah, no, I mean, I think part of the point of like having goals is like that they should feel scary and they should feel in many ways unachievable, and that you're going to have to like transform yourself and you're going to have to make sacrifices to get those goals, because if not, what's the point of that goal? If my goal was to go jog at High Banks again tomorrow, right? Like, what's the point? I can go do that literally anytime, like, so just like why set goals that are not a little bit scary for you?
No doubt. And, if you ever do even just run Hard Rock, just in case, when you toe the line, we will be there to film it and it'll be
just get in.
Epic.
Just get in.
That's
like 60% of the challenge, honestly.
90, yeah.
90% of the challenge. Then kind of going back to our topic earlier with women, it's like 99% of the challenge, because so many spots are dedicated to the veterans. Well, who are the veterans? They're all males. So that's just another kind of issue where big races especially should just open up more of those spots. And we're kind of jumping back a little bit, but just
at Dale Garland.
There we go.
we might see a switch, and a shift there soon too. I think their format is it's becoming a little difficult to manage too on their end. So we'll see what that one turns into. But I mean, hey, if you want to just go do something just as hard, I know the Ure 100 down there is a big race too, with like 45K vert. So same area. Mm-hmm. Not the same history, but
where's that race located, Nick?
It's in Ure, Colorado. So that's one of the towns.
The name of the town
Hard Rock goes through.
Well, you could tell me Ure's in like Georgia, and I'd be like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like,
well, there's also a London and a Peru in Ohio, Wesley.
And there's a Peru in Illinois that I spent some time at this summer, which is a beautiful place. But I found out recently, I was doing some Google mapping, and a little off topic here, but I found out that like Washington, Seattle to Utah is 18 hours of a drive. It's like if you go point to point, and like from like Georgia, South Carolina to Utah is like 11, so it's very, very similar. I was blown away by that. I did not know Utah was where Utah was in the United States. So
Yeah, the mileage.
I did
The
not
mileage
know
is pretty
Utah
close.
was where Utah
Well,
was.
I knew it was like over there and like near everything, but I didn't know it was far south. I didn't know it was like down near where Florida is. Like I did not know it was like a coastal area. They got to really.
Utah is not coastal. There's no coasts in Utah, Wesley. They don't even
I
have
get
the
what
Salt
I get what
Lake.
he's saying though. The latitude is, it's south of Ohio, and it's a more southern type state. For sure.
Cleveland, Ohio, for example, like you can just draw a line across the map, and it's higher than where anywhere in Utah would be, I believe.
You also have to keep in mind is a lot of these states out west are just massive states. So like northern Utah, even like, Ogden and Salt Lake is, pretty far north, is like maybe even with Ohio, but southern Utah is, down where maybe Georgia would be. So big states out here.
Yeah, no, you guys got all the fun states. So we do have one or two more callers that are in the queue right now. We will eventually get to them in a second. We've realized in this whole process that Android users are a little funky with our technology. I mean, that may just be a thing where, you have to buy an iPhone to get on the show. Maybe that's just
Let's not gatekeep the show like that.
Okay. Maybe we make a partnership with Apple and we can send people iPhones. Okay.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
I was going to say, not even on our wireless streams.
Hey,
you might as well have said we should have a partnership with Cannondale and send people Topstones.
You just said just go after your dreams, Cam, and you're out here telling me we can't get a partnership with
Apple. Is that your dream, Wesley?
Yeah.
Partnership with Apple?
Yeah. No, it's enough of this. Enough of this. Let's go to a caller. They're on the line, ready to go right now. Joining the show. Who do we have and where are you from?
This is Chad Robinson, I believe.
Oh man, Chadwick. What's up, man?
Not bad. I had to crack it's Ovaltine code in order to get in, but I got in.
Dude,
Ovaltine code. What a blast from the past that was.
I had to lock myself into a room, and then I had to decode the code to get in, and I got in after about 4. I had to get an old piece of mail and a red crayon and come into the room with my whiskey and then write down 600 numbers. And now I know what Michael was talking about. I thought he was joking, but he was being completely honest.
You can never be too safe these days.
Yeah, I told you guys the technology to make this show possible is just bonkers. So kudos to everyone that makes that happen. What do you want to talk about, C-Rob?
Well, two things. And just to follow up on some other people's stuff, because obviously it should be a continuum, and you guys are doing a fantastic job orating everything here right now. But like a couple things, and I'll get to the girl aspect too, which I really like that because I'm a cross country coach. But first on the last caller was talking about controlling the breathing, and obviously depending on the kind of person that you are, like running wise, whether you're 5K, a miler, a track stud in high school, or 100-miler. I know that, for example, I've been told from some people, specifically Lee Connors, and I haven't really done this before. And I know, Nick, you were mentioning the whole breathing just through your nose thing. She said she does that exclusively for the first, 30, 40, 50 miles of a 100-mile race, just to control her effort level, which obviously will control your heart rate, which is something I focused on at OBU, is my heart rate. And so I think that's a really important thing. I think there's probably different methods involved with that, like depending on, what kind of exertion you're going to be doing, whether you're trying to, go for speed, which obviously OBU is the exact opposite of that. So I think it depends on the kind of race for breathing. But if you control your breathing, from my experience, you control your heart rate. If you control your heart rate, you can control how you feel and how your muscles perform. But it depends on the speed, obviously. So, I would try to, take from everyone that I listen to, that I read, and that I run with. But I know, like, for example, Harvey Lewis mentioned something about making sure that you relax your face muscles and like your body just kind of be real free flowing. Like every single bit of energy that you can kind of conserve is going to conserve your heart rate, which is going to conserve the pumping of your blood, and then the number of calories you're consuming. And obviously how much energy you have left that you want to conserve towards the end of a race, like whether it's to have a kick, on a mile or a 2 mile on a track, or whether it's to just finish something that's extremely hard. So that's my quick take on that. But what I wanted to talk about was the whole the convenient adventure coming up in early January. Not necessarily that everyone that's listening is going to be able to do that, but there's, and I won't give any specifics because everyone should have their own kind of renegade type thing. But Mike Alone does put on a couple of cool events once in a while that are kind of off the grid. And I think it's important that we, as people, whether we're race directors or coaches or hosts like you, or people that just enjoy running, to continue to do renegade events like that, like off the cusp. Like I try to do some weird games and stuff with my cross country crew, and it gets everyone involved, not just the studs, but gets people who don't even think about running, that would even think about running a 5K, out there. And I have a lot of females that aren't really necessarily super fast runners. They become fast sometimes. Sometimes they just get an appreciation for being outside. But I think if you start doing those sort of things at the local level, like for me as a teacher and a coach, I'm able to kind of reach that younger generation. And so if you instill that sort of positivity and confidence in young people, that stays with them forever. Like it's something that, I pride myself on. I don't necessarily crank out, state champions left and right, and we get a couple of diamonds in the rough, but it's important to include everybody, male, female, big, thin, whatever. And that it'll breed into itself. Everyone's got that story. Like there's guys, but like Stephen Loop, I think it's his last name. He's around the area here. So many people I've met have lost so much weight, running, and it's kind of inspiring. So that crosses between genders, but I think it's kind of cool. I'll hang up and I'll let you talk unless you got any questions for me based on the two things I've mentioned.
So just a quick one here, C-Rob. I know you were in Ohio's Backyard Ultra in March. Your goal for this past one, when I asked you about it before the race, you just said, I just need to focus on myself and not really worry about what everyone else is doing. Obviously, there's more big names coming to the starting line. You had an unbelievable performance a couple weeks ago. What is your mindset going into OBU in March?
For me personally, like I don't want to give myself like a goal milestone. Like for me, it's 200 plus or bust. Like I know I can get to that next level, but I have to, and I'm not going to limit it at 200. If I'm, lucky enough to have a day where things go my way, if I can control the controllables, that's one thing, and kind of let the dice fall. But, for me, it's mentally just, I didn't think it was going to, the mistake I made. I was kind of secretly banking on the fact that it wasn't going to get to a second road section. Like I thought I could get to that. I knew I could, and I was willing to get there, but I saw the strength of my competitors, and it kind of got in my head. Eventually, I started using too much energy towards the end. So for me, it's going to be focused on getting to that second night road section, and then just going, okay, let's do the George plan again. I really like the George plan. I'm big on the 55 minutes on the road, and then coming back, and then I think if I can get through that section, I'll feel right at home coming back into the daytime, back on that incredibly gorgeous McChesney Ridge course, which I feel I have a mental advantage on some people because I've spent some alone time there. And I'm sure Michael and Lisa spent way more time than I have, but I got my own little special niche I've carved out there that's super cool to have people like Lisa and Bree open that place up to the, people that we're talking to right now and all that. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, and I'm looking forward to it. And can't wait to bang with some of these elites.
Hey, I agree with you, Chadwick. I think you just gotta slow down. I'd be real curious to see what your running time was those first 75 miles or so. I mean, I didn't see you the whole 12 hours I was out there. You were just, minutes ahead of me when we went around the lake or the pond there. I could just see you just trucking along. So who knows what you're capable of if you can just slow it down just a couple minutes.
Yeah, I try to keep it. I didn't do anything under 50 minutes. I wanted to go 50 to 54 on the trail and the road, and I did that. So, I mean, I might have been in front, but I think sometimes it's easier. I have a larger, getting off of my feet quicker sometimes can help, just an extra minute or two. So I didn't feel like I was gassed. I felt like I had more in the tank, but mentally I just couldn't. I eventually, the last hour or two just became taxing, and then it just got in my own head, and that's all it takes.
No doubt, man. Well, thank you so much for calling, C-Rob. It was awesome to kind of hear from you, and we're super stoked. I'm sorry for leaving you off like the number of elite people I mentioned earlier in the race.
No.
I've
I'm
listed
not
like
elite.
15 people. I've got 15 people on my list right now, and you were one of them, and I just forgot their name, so I apologize for that.
Oh, great. So I was 17 before. I moved up 2 spots. Wonderful.
Hey, improvement, baby, improvement. Just those marginal
Hey, I'm
gains.
making gains, baby. I'm making
He's
gains. I
making
love it, guys.
gains.
Take it easy.
Yeah.
No
Take
doubt,
it
man.
easy. Take it easy.
Thanks so much for the call. See
Peace out,
Rob
folks. Bye.
Robinson
Yeah.
on the line. That's awesome to have him call in. Guys, so for the convenient adventure, if you guys don't know, Michael Owen puts on this fun run adventure. Typically it's in the Shawnee Forest, normally around the start of the year. And this has been going on for 7 or 8 years now. It was originally the idea started from one of Michael's really good friends wanted to have a bachelor party. They didn't know what they wanted to do. They decided to run like 46 miles that day or something, just something bonkers like that. And every year they kind of get back together and kind of do the same thing. So if you want to be a part of that, you're able to be a part of it. Just kind of reach out to Michael. You can reach out to us. We'll get you in contact with him, and you can come down to Shawnee Forest in a couple weeks. It should be a lot of fun. You guys have never done a convenient adventure, have you?
I have not. I was only invited to the last one, and I was injured during it.
Nick?
No, not officially. No.
You know, you bailed. It was the year that we did the inaugural Shawnee 50 course, and I was pumped that you were coming because who we went out with, it was like Mike Cooper, Travis Sipfel, Michael Owen, and myself. We took a month off from ultra running after my only 100-mile finish, and so I'm going into this like inaugural thing with like these like the three fastest guys in Ohio, essentially, like in the top 10, whatever you want to say, like just studs. And here I am. I was like, oh man, Nick, please show up so me and Nick can just hang out all day. But they just dropped.
I wanted to be there. I can remember it vividly. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus of why. Yeah, there was a good reason, I guess, I wasn't there.
Oh boy.
Oh,
boy. Well, we'll leave that one on the table.
Yeah, we'll just not discuss that further.
Yeah, no, or we could, it's VOSS Talks. This is what we're made for. But I think we do have one more caller on the line right now. This may be our final caller. This is a long show, but we're super excited to kind of talk to as many Ridge Runner Nation members as we can. Who do we have on the line right now, and where are you from?
My name is Paul Kenter. I hail originally from Pittsburgh. That's the Steel Town runner. That some people see me on commenting on things every now and then, and I am in New York.
Oh,
infamous. Love
Infamous, yes. Professional armchair jogger.
This is awesome, man. What do you want to talk about on the show?
I caught bits and pieces before I got put on hold, and then apparently I couldn't quite listen to the show and listen to the hold music at the same time. So I think I missed a fair chunk of it, but I think the main thing that was on my mind was Desert Solstice. If it's not on people's radar, a lot of races have been canceled. JFK, of course, ended up seeing, at least on the men's side, a lot deeper competition than it ordinarily sees. And Desert Solstice, unfortunately, the women's field is a little shallow, still have a couple big names, but on the men's side, it might be the most competitive field that the race has ever seen. You have, certainly on paper, I don't know if any of them will deliver, and as these things tend to go, but we have three people who I think could very reasonably hit 170 miles in the same race, which, if you follow this stuff, never happens. You have the U.S. 48-hour record holder, Olivier Leblond, who won, I believe, gold or silver at the last 24-hour World Championships. He has, I believe, 170 miles as his 24-hour personal best. That is second best all-time United States. So he's running Desert Solstice. Also Harvey Lewis, who I believe has right around 160, maybe a hair less. His PR is just a hair behind Corny DeWalters. So he's running it. Normally he doesn't make it over for that. You have Jake Jackson, who I think he ran just behind Camila at the last World Championships. So he should, I believe, has a 166. I suspect that he is in PR shape. You have Nick Curry, who managed to negative split his last 24 hours, and he said he's in better shape now than he was then. You also have Zach Bitter, who hasn't quite articulated it in these words, but this is his first very serious go at 24 hours. He's tried twice before, kind of fizzled at 18 hours, but he hasn't said this explicitly, but more or less alluded to the fact that he's chasing the world record, which is Killian got a lot of hype this past week, which was, I thought, somewhat misplaced. But Zach, if there's one person right now who could conceivably do it, which would not be this kind of crazy moonshot, it'd be Zach. So whether you get the 188, or I certainly wouldn't say 170 is I think that'd be a poor race for him, if you can say such a thing. And 172 is the U.S. record by Mike Morton. I believe the fastest non-West Coast runner to run Western states. So, yeah, that's, I think, right now what's in the forefront of my mind.
That is awesome, man. So, okay, give us your quick pick here before you bounce out. Who do you think's going to win?
My quick pick. Well, when you aim high, then, that's the classic thing where, like, we've seen too many times. It's can end kind of disastrously. Zach still doesn't have experience. Harvey is one of the most consistent 24-hour runners in the world, but his leg speed doesn't come anywhere near the people with greater upshot than him. So I'm not a betting man. I think it could be, and part of what makes the 24 hours interesting is it can unfold very interestingly. So it's in some ways it's very predictable, in some ways less so. But there are a couple of debutants who will be showing up. I'm blocking on all the names. You also have Bob Hearn, who's going to be there. He's very consistent, right around 150. He's going to be aiming for probably 156, but his ceiling isn't much higher than that. I'm blocking on the fellow making his 24-hour debut. Not a well-known name. You also had Kyle Piatari, from Denver, who's, I guess, by now a perennial top 10 Western States runner who just pulled out because of COVID concerns. But, yeah, this is one race that it should be, purely from a spectating perspective, should be very well worth watching. And on a separate note, I heard some book recommendations being thrown about, something about training. There was the book by Killian and some other book that was out there. We'll throw one or two out there. There's Training for Ultra Marathons by Andy Milroy, who's perhaps the premier historian of ultra running in the world. That's Training for Ultra. And also throw a plug for A Step Beyond, a definitive guide to ultra running, edited by Don Allison. And Don Allison was the longtime publisher of Ultra Running magazine before it moved out west. So those are two book titles for the night.
Well, thank you so much, man. Where can people find you on social media again?
At Steeltown Runner, and you'll find some tweets about opera, and when I decide to get ornery, some stuff about ultra running.
That's awesome, man. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate the call and all the stats you threw out and whatnot, really bringing an element to the show that I'm super excited to kind of dive into.
My pleasure. And learn about Ure. Mountain stuff is equally interesting, but I chime in when I see something is covered less, but it's all good.
No doubt. Thank you so much for the call, man.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Yeah, no, that was great stuff there. Nick, what do you have to, I'm just going to devote right to you, Mr. Ultra Running Analyst here on the show, not Skip Bayless, but what do you think is going to happen at that race, Desert Solstice?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think he brings up a good point that, when you play with fire, sometimes you get burned. So I'm definitely going to be rooting for Zach Bitter. I love the guy. I think he's a super inspirational guy, world-class speed. He already holds the 100-mile world record, at least on trail. And yeah, it'll be cool to see him if he can stretch it. I know he's been there to that race before. It's, kind of hometown for him. The good thing is it'll be covered extensively. I think they do a video stream the whole time. If you're into that kind of thing, watching folks run around a track one direction for 12 hours and then switch directions and go the other way for 12 hours. That would be cool. I was excited to see Kyle Piatari, the local Denver guy here, going for a 24-hour effort because he has that leg speed that Steeltown Runner was talking about. But yeah, it'll be cool to see. A lot of just, those names are just the perennial powerhouses when it comes to the 24-hour realm. I was interested to follow Zach Bitter in his Trans-America, but it looks like I guess now at this point it's not going to happen this year. So hopefully he's gonna give that a go next year when maybe things are a little bit normal.
That's why the show is named after you right there. Just killer insights from Nick Voss. We've got one final caller here in the waiting room. This will be the last caller before we end the show tonight. Who do we have on the line, and where are you from?
You're going to hate this, but Michael Owen.
He's back.
Dude, he's back.
But so it's really, really serendipitous that Steeltown Runner chimed in with the 24-hour Desert Solstice information, because I was going to call in and bring up Killian Jornet's 24-hour track attempt last weekend, or just over the weekend in Norway. So it kind of goes in with the 24-hour track attempt, and which brings you to the thought. Giannis Kouros' world record of 188 miles for the track 24-hour has to be one of the most untouchable world records in ultra running, and he's a legend, perhaps the greatest of all time in pure distance running. If you're going to break it down to multi-day to 24-hour stuff, 48-hour, he has a 6-day world record at an incredible 645 miles, I believe. And so, at Desert Solstice, this could be a shot to get closer to that. It could be a shot to get, Zach Bitter a phenomenal finish. So it was really great to hear from Steeltown Runner. I can't stress enough, like, if you're an ultra runner geek and want to hear some great insight from people, Steeltown Runner on Twitter is a great follow.
Well, thanks so much for calling back, Michael. I think you officially broke the rules. I don't know if that's something that we're going to have happen often, but we're glad to hear from you again and have your insights back on the show.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, sorry for breaking the rules, but I just couldn't pass up getting that 24-hour Killian reference in, because it goes along with what Paul brought up. But yeah, that's something I will definitely be tuning into. Probably for the pretty much off and on throughout the entire 24 hours. But like a lot of people think, or a lot of people, I want to really keep an eye on what Zach Bitter can do. I would love to see Harvey Lewis, set his personal best, which would end up being, pretty far up there. I think he did it this past year, perhaps, right? Did Harvey Lewis run his personal best in the 24-hour distance? For his distance?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was in like the 160s range, 163 or 4, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's another big performance that I do as Ohio Ultra Runner of the Year resume. That's already very impressive.
For sure. But yeah, just, checking out Desert Solstice, the entrant list is on Ultra Sign Up. Pretty strong on the guys' side. Not as familiar with the women. There's no Camille on the list like there is some years. That's where she obviously got her records. But yeah, super exciting. And, if you want to discuss something, I think discussing whether Giannis Kouros is the greatest of all time, and if that record, that 24-hour record, will ever be broken or even touched within 5 miles, that's going to be debatable. And then definitely like his 6-day record of 645 miles is otherworldly. He's like a god in his home country, and it's for right reasons.
Definitely. Well, we're going to have to dive into that, Michael Owen. Thank you so much for joining us on the show again tonight, and we hope to hear from you again.
Good night.
Yeah, no, I think kind of going back to that Killian's attempt, what do you guys kind of think about that, kind of just how it all transpired and kind of going into Desert Solstice? And do you think that record will ever be touched? Because I watched a Sage Candidate video the other day. It was 20 minutes long. I think I watched a couple minutes of it. And from what I watched, I don't think that he thinks that a fast marathoner can eventually break the record, but I'm not so sure if I'm sold on it. I think that record would have to take such a perfect day from the person who's perfectly in shape and all the training, and I think it'd just be like one of those unworldly performances. What do you guys think?
Yeah, to me, it's a huge number. I think going in, obviously, like in hindsight, it's just a huge publicity stunt for Solomon. I think Killian's one of those people who's interested. It's interesting to watch him, push himself. But I think he's also someone who appears to be this, freak athlete, when really you have to look at the amount of experience he has. Even though he's a younger guy, he has been doing the crazy mountain stuff he does for years and years and years. And what he doesn't have experience in is this 24-hour flat track running kind of thing. So the crazy thing to me is that someone like Olivier Leblond can go and finish in the top 3 at the World Championships, run 170 miles, and he's still got 18 miles to find in that 24-hour period to even tie Janos Koros's record. That to me is such a big margin. And Michael's exactly right. Like, I even get within 10 or 5 miles of that is going to be, it's going to take just an incredibly perfect performance. And I'm totally on board. Like, I think records are made to be broken, and it will be broken at some point. But yeah, it's a head scratcher for sure. Like, when you see the caliber of people that consistently put up high 150s, maybe high 160s, 170, if they have a perfect day, it's like, how do you find that 18 miles?
I'm not the person to ask. Maybe can you have any insights?
I've got personally, I've got very little insight, right? I'm always down for wild speculation based on little to no data, right? But yeah, it's just what Nick said, like finding 18 miles for somebody who's already elite, right? This kind of gets back to the nasal breathing thing. Olivier Leblond, right? Not to put words in his mouth, right? Because I met him at Mohican. He's a great guy, but he's chasing those marginal gains, like he is not in the same place that we are, where he's thinking like, oh, I can take an hour off my time on this course if I train in this way, if I like start doing mile repeats every Wednesday, right? Like, anything like that, he's chasing like, not miles, but minutes, probably even over the 24-hour period. So going back to a little bit what Paul was saying when he was talking, I'm very interested to see like what Zach Bitter does at Desert Solstice, and to see if he can get like a true like 24-hour performance to like his sort of like fulfillment, so to speak, right? Where he like, steps off the track and he's like, that's the best that I could do for those 24 hours. Cause it doesn't seem like he's there, but then from there, it's, well, how close did he get to Koros's record? Cause I'm not quite sure that he's going to like actually break it or even come that close. But, if the margin drops from less than 18 miles, I think we can start maybe thinking about it more.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely agree with that point. It's kind of like that sub 2-hour marathon mark. Like, a couple of these margins and whatnot, it's just like so crazy when you start thinking about like how much people need to kind of like just, I don't even know. It's just a mind blowing topic. But I know one thing I'm super excited to kind of tune in. I know it's one of those events where, I'm just much like last night, when Ohio's Back Ultra registration opened up, I was awake till 1 a.m, just refreshing Ultra sign up and seeing all the entrance lists coming in. That Desert Solstice race, I'll be just every hour checking in and kind of seeing how it all plays out. It'll be super exciting. But that's a wrap on tonight's VOSS Talks. This was our first ever show. If you guys enjoyed this, or you guys thought this was a different format, you thought this was kind of cool, let us know in the comment section if we should do it again. Sometimes we try things and we never do them again because, maybe they suck, or maybe we should do this a couple more times. So let us know in the comments whether you think this was a solid attempt. Cam, do you have any final thoughts or anything to end the show with tonight?
No, I was going to say, if you thought this was some sort of Voss water reference, you were mistaken. Other than that, we're super stoked that so many people called in. We want to hear more from you guys. you know, and I think maybe a topic for next time, if you guys want to hear this, you know, we've been talking about Giannis, Koros, and Killian a little bit here. Who is the GOAT of ultra running? Call in, let us know your opinions on that. Obviously, all three of us are going to have some very strong ones, you know, so we'll talk about those things. If not, we will see you guys next time.
All right. Don't everyone pick David Goggins as the best ultra runner, by the way, too.
Please nobody pick him, actually.
Oh boy. That's VOSS Talks, guys. We'll see you guys next time.